Hi, everybody. This is Tracy Forsyth, founder of Fasttrack to Fearless. And today I am joined by a lovely former coachee client, Charlotte Jones. Welcome, Charlotte.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm not going to take too much of your time, but the reason I asked you to come on is because in my new course, Sell Yourself Fearlessly Without Feeling Like an Imposter, we use a technique that I used with you and I use with all my one-to-one clients on how to kind of order your, how to use your experience and expertise and work it into a killer pitch. I call it a pyramid, but you just called it something really nice. So will you explain your experience of going through that and using that model?
Yeah, I came to work with Tracy because I have spent a long time working in media, television, and various other forms of media, from live events, music, all sorts of things. And you work at such a massive speed and rate, and we all sort of deal with so many different projects, and we're on to the next thing and on to the next thing. And it's very hard sometimes to understand how to corral all of that experience and all of that, that skill set, and to put it into one sentence. And I was finding that incredibly difficult. And I started an indie, Mustang Films, about 2.5, 3 years ago. And having done a very broad range of content and actually trying to work out how to put it into a sentence which people wouldn't be scared of when they heard me say it. You know, when I say, well, I do from specialist factual documentaries to virtual reality to theme parks in Tokyo, sort of seems a lot for somebody to understand. So I came to see Tracy to help me to do that. And the pyramid system, or as I've just said to Tracy, actually I was a bit baffled by the pyramid word, but it's actually like a temple. It's like a Greek temple. And for me, I have quite a sort of broad brain in the way that I work, and actually trying to order stuff is something that I don't do naturally. But actually the pyramid system or the temple system makes you, or encourages you to, invites you to look at what those key strengths are that you have, and then to look at the range of ammunition that you've got to actually underpin those pillars, so that you actually really understand what your strengths are and your evidence for that, so that when you then, obviously from your strengths across the top of your, the top of your temple, you can see how you describe yourself, and then you very much own those projects that underpin it. So it's for somebody like me who's highly visual, actually seeing it like that, makes me feel as if I'm not talking rubbish, going in and sort of saying, well, I do this and I do that, and it makes me extraordinary. But actually knowing that I've gone through building the foundations, and actually quite easily being able to communicate that evidence, but also feel it, and that helps you then feel more confident in the moment. So I think that's it's a very practical and visual tool, really.
Yeah, and I think that's the crucial thing, isn't it? It's like it's feeling that you own what you want to say. So because a lot of people think, well, I don't know what to say, or they think, oh, I'm going to sound like I'm boasting, or I'm going to sound like or I feel like an imposter. But the method, pyramid, whatever, temple,
I think you're just freezing.
That the beauty of it is that it uses your experience, so that I think we just glitched there. Are you still there?
Yeah.
What is going on? Are you still there?
You're all right now.
Yeah. Yes. And Charlotte, in terms of you, why do you think? Why? Just explain why you think it's.
I think the Wi-Fi has just stopped again. If If I had the question, I'd try to answer it whilst you're frozen, Tracy. I think Tracy has left altogether.
Hang on. Hi, everybody. I don't know whether you're still there, whether we're still broadcasting, but you can see we had a monumental glitch there. Hi, David. Sorry about this. I don't know whether it's because it's the football, whether it's what. Here's for those of you who are still there. Hold on. Here she is. Sorry. I think, you know what? I don't know whether it's because the excitement of the football is making everybody use the Wi-Fi. But yeah, no, I was just asking you, why do you think it's important that you have are able to sum up your experience? So how has it been? Why did you feel the need to have it in the first place?
Because I think that the commissioning space, where I work, the television commissioning space, it's highly competitive, and also time is very short. People haven't got time to listen to, me talking endlessly about what I've done and hoping that they're going to stay with me and go on this wonderful journey of my biography. Of course, they're not going to do that. So it's actually pulling out the strengths from quite an eclectic career and presenting them in a way which obviously works towards the particular bit of the industry that I'm working with. So it's a strength that I take into a program making arena, and it's something, and as we talked about, very often commissioners want something which is slightly new, the innovation bit, but they also want to know that you've also got the chops to actually deliver something. So it's really laying out your stall of strengths and making sure that that you can communicate them in a way that really, I suppose, delivers to that person's requirements for why they would employ you, or why they commission it from you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true, because you can use this method just to really create a very targeted message. And I also think that we're we have a short attention span, don't we? So whether we if we're scrolling, it's like a nanosecond before we scroll. And I think it's the same thing in human interaction. When you're in front of somebody, you've got to land your message very, very quickly in an interesting way, and a way that feels good to you. So I think that it's that's why I think it's also important, isn't it? And you had such a wide, you're multi-talented, and you had so many things to bring in, and I think it was just really, really important that you had something that encapsulated all of that in a nutshell. It's that having that nutshell which then expands into all the experiences and anecdotes that you've got.
Yeah, but I also think what's really important is understanding, through talking through what I've done, through, what we've all done during our careers. And sometimes they can be quite eclectic. Sometimes, maybe people have done a similar thing for most of their careers, but a lot in the media are very eclectic. And sometimes it's hard to feel the value of that difference. And actually, that difference is a good thing. It's just how you communicate it. And in a very, very targeted industry where there are lots of specialists in lots of fields, it's how you feel that you're able to compete, because actually you have a very broad skill set. It's just sort of understanding that, owning it. And, as we did together, we talked a lot about, what I like doing, what I don't like doing. and really getting to the nub of what really makes me tick. What's a good day at work? What's the stuff that really gets me into a state of, prepared to go to the ends of the earth to do a job because I love it and it's something that makes me tick. And I think, well, because we work in an industry where very often you have to do things you don't want to do. And or it seems as if it isn't the best job, but you're doing it because it's something to keep you going. I once made a 2-hour special on poo for the History Channel in the US. And at the beginning of it, I just thought, oh my God, how am I going to bear this? But obviously, poo is the most fascinating subject matter on the planet after I'd made 2 hours on it. But, we have these very eclectic careers. And actually, what's great about the work that we've done is talking about it. And it does take, it's great to be indulgent and talk about it. But out of all those eclectic bits, you identify the similarities and the skills that you have that enable you to do that. And that was really lovely, actually, because I always just thought they were an eclectic bag of stuff. And did anybody else drag around this big bag of stuff?
It's such a good point, Charlotte, because like what I've noticed about my mentees and my coachees, etc., is that they are all very talented, and they're clearly driven and ambitious. Otherwise, they wouldn't be into professional development or personal development. But the thing is that they are all a type which I call the self-critical overachiever. They are people who have, by anybody's standards, achieved a huge amount. But because they're self-critical, they take their achievements for granted, or they just think, oh, they're no great shakes, which means that you end up with this kind of like trail of like rubies and diamonds that you've left behind you to be trampled over and, covered with sand. And those are the bits, the experience that you've had. It's picking those up and looking at them and going, blimmin' heck, I did this, and there's a skill that was required in creating that ruby or polishing that diamond, etc., was this, and that is the thing that I do. So it's about picking those up, and in terms of selling yourself fearlessly, being able to wear them as a crown of your USPs and your special talents and the things that you really, really have to offer somebody else.
Yeah, and I think it's something that through the process and through the hours we spent together, it's something that happens quite quietly. It's a lovely feeling because it's great to talk about yourself in such depth and to share some of the brilliant things that you've done. But actually, when you've stepped through it, it feels as if there's an ease to it. It doesn't feel, you can feel supercharged, but it is something that sort of sticks where you sort of think, oh yeah, actually, this is fine, and the imposter syndrome, I think everybody feels imposter syndrome because it's just an incredibly competitive industry. So we're sort of, hardwired to respond to that. But I think just sort of thinking back to actually, no, it's fine. I've looked at my temple. I've walked around my Grecian temple. It's all good. I don't need to worry about that, So even if it's not something where you go and you offer yourself as the next big thing, because you've suddenly realised, it can also just give you a real sense of ease.
Yes,
which is a really brilliant way to enter many of these conversations. So
yeah, and I think that's. And that's why I say sell yourself fearlessly, because I think that comes from, I think fearlessness, which is like, for me is like feeling uber confident, comes from really understanding yourself and knowing who you are and owning that and being comfortable with that, knowing your values, what makes you thrive, what doesn't make you thrive, what your kryptonite is, what your and the fearlessness comes from you're not trying to pretend to be anybody else. You are you, and the people that I work with, there is so much to celebrate in them just being themselves. You are a case in point of that. And we did look at imposter syndrome, or the fact that you felt, oh, you didn't quite fit into what was you thought was expected. But actually what we discovered was actually what you are is so much more
it doesn't matter.
So much more impressive anyway. Yeah.
But I think it's that God, I've just totally lost the thread of what I was going to say, because it's not so much that thing of I'm better than these other people, but I have got something which I identify in myself, which I love doing.
Yes.
And that's what the work really helped me get to. This is the bit that makes my heart sing. This is the bit that doesn't make my heart sing so much, but it's actually fine because I identify it as such. And it's an understood, part of the relationship or the deal that I'm doing, that actually it's fine. I see it as that. It doesn't have to be me. I'm me, and I can do that bit. And I think that's lovely, because then you don't confuse you don't try and be everything for everybody.
Yes. And you stop comparing yourself to others. I think it's like you don't think success is only if I reach these particular markers that somebody else has reached. You have your own, you understand your own definition of, and I think that is a lot of when you actually really defeat imposter syndrome or get to understand it, it tells you a lot about actually what your own markers are, what your own sort of performance indicators or whatever are, and you realize that that's fine. You don't have to be the other Tom, Dick, and Harry. Being you is good, is great.
Yes, you don't need to be the tail that's being wagged by the dog. And it's using words. I think the British are so worried about bigging themselves up or using terms which they think might be a bit uncomfortable. And I think actually sometimes it's great to get to the point where you say, no, I am actually, a creative. That's what I do. And that is basically what makes me tick. That sort of underlines everything that I do. And we feel that we need, and somehow I feel a bit embarrassed that I'm proclaiming myself as a great creative, or, that I'm a different sort of creative. But actually it's fine, because you look at the evidence of what I've done. And that's exactly what I've done. And that's fine. There are plenty of other people exactly like me, but it's actually owning it and recognizing it for yourself, which is great.
Rubies and diamonds in the, have we got a glitch again? Oh dear. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think we're back. Are we back? Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. So I think it's exactly that. And so it's an online version of this, and do a
oh no, it's glitching.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, okay, listen, we're going to wrap it up now, but
England better win after all of this.
Yeah, just to say that, England better win. Yeah, exactly. It's probably England saying you shouldn't be doing this, you should be watching us, cheering us on. So England, we're coming. But just to say to everybody that the Sell Yourself Fearlessly Without Feeling Like an Imposter course is out. It's a self-paced course. We go through all of these methods, defeating imposter syndrome, understanding it, and going through that pyramid or Grecian temple step-by-step process to create a pitch for you based on your experience and your expertise, so that you can sell yourself confidently and fearlessly. I just want to thank Charlotte so much for agreeing to come on and
nice to see you.
your experience, you know, it was always a delight. Our sessions together were always a highlight of the week. And
Yeah, it's great.
yeah, so,
Very lovely experience.
Yes, I love that testimonial that you put. It's like having a lovely day at the spa, but not coming home with wet hair or something, you said.
No, well, it was also incredibly fun and just incredibly useful and probing. And you are relentless with your let's get to the bottom of it, which I just feel some people don't do. And we really got to the bottom of a lot. So
yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, and what was there was very unique and very, very exciting, wasn't it? Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for doing this, and I will see you very soon.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, I'm going to end.